I came across this old wooden device with metal gears and no context. It looks mechanical, maybe even homemade. Does anyone know what this thing is? What you found is a mechanical counter patented in 1867 by Henry Hart, one of the earliest devices designed to automatically count distance, quantities, or repetitive events. Originally called a register for odometers, this invention came about during a time when American industry was rapidly expanding. It was used by farmers, factory workers, and surveyors to measure distance or keep track of things like grain sacks, removing the need for manual counting. What made Hart's design unique was the inclined arrangement of its gears and its ability to track multiple units, miles, rods, feet, and even fractions of a foot. I found this strange object in a back alley. It's about 20 inches long and looks like it's made of styrofoam or something similar. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a boffer sword, a padded foam weapon used in live-action role-playing games, commonly known as LARP. These mock weapons are specifically designed to allow people to practice swordplay safely without risk of injury. Boffer swords like this have been around since the late 1970s, when fantasy enthusiasts began organizing mock battles using homemade weapons. One of the earliest groups, Dagger Here, was founded in 1977 and featured combat inspired by Tolkien's Middle-earth, using padded swords made for safety. Over time, this style of foam-based combat developed into a subculture of its own, complete with rule sets, custom gear, and large-scale tournaments. My dad found this unusual metal object while thrifting. It's oddly shaped, solidly built, and stamped with patented March 29, 1927. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a vintage grapefruit corer, a kitchen gadget patented on March 29, 1927. It was designed specifically to remove the tough central core from a halved grapefruit, making the fruit easier to serve and enjoy. To use it, you'd press the circular blades into the center of the fruit, twist, and then push the handles apart, causing the blades to close around the core and cut it free in one quick motion. Grapefruit became a popular breakfast food in the 1920s, and inventors quickly began creating utensils to make it easier to eat. The design, patented by John Kovitz of Bridgeport, Connecticut, was simple, affordable to manufacture, and widely distributed. I found this old copper cylinder at an estate sale. It's about 8.5 inches tall, has a handle on one side, a small glass window, and a marking that looks like an S over a P inside a shield. Any idea what it was used for? What you found is an antique alcohol-proof hydrometer with a built-in thermometer, most likely from the early 20th century. It was designed to measure the strength of spirits by determining their specific gravity, in other words, their alcohol content. The copper casing held a glass float that would rise or sink depending on the density of the liquid inside, while the thermometer, visible through the side window, allowed the user to account for temperature. Devices like this were widely used in the American distilling industry and by federal revenue officers responsible for taxing alcohol after the Civil War. In fact, this particular design is nearly identical to one described in a 1940 United States patent, a copper cylinder with a flat base, side handle, and internal thermometer well, used by agents of the alcohol tax unit. I found these strange plastic tubes attached to a light pole in England. They look like test tubes with red caps, and there are several of them mounted on a wooden bracket. This setup wasn't near a park or playground, just a quiet residential street. What you've found is a set of nitrogen dioxide diffusion tubes, passive air pollution monitors, designed to measure nitrogen dioxide levels over time. These small plastic tubes contain a chemical inside that absorbs nitrogen dioxide from the air. After a few weeks, the tubes are collected and sent to a lab for analysis. This method was invented in the 1970s by American chemist Edward Pams, who based the idea on radiation dosimeter badges. His simple plastic tube with an absorbent mesh became widely adopted in Europe, especially in the United Kingdom, where local councils use them to monitor traffic-related pollution. I spotted this heavy metal shaft in the corner of the county tax office. It's solid, metallic, and no one seems to know what it's for, though one theory is that it might be something designed by NASA. Does anyone know what it is? What you've found is an oil-filled plunger lift tool, a heavy-duty steel piston used in gas wells to remove built-up liquids that restrict production. The plunger falls to the bottom of the well through the tubing. Once the surface valve is opened, gas pressure from below propels the plunger back to the top, lifting a slug of water or condensate with it. This helps restore flow and keeps the well producing, all without the need for pumps or chemicals. I came across this antique wooden instrument at an estate sale. The listing described it as being about 11 inches long, which is larger than it looks in the photo. Does anyone know what this object is? What you found is a honorette, advertised in the early 20th century as a high-class blow accordion. It's essentially a small, handheld cross between a harmonica and a button accordion. You blow, or on some models also draw, air through a mouthpiece while pressing button keys. Each key opens a small valve that lets air pass a metal reed and produce a note. Most versions had a single row of melody buttons and a couple of larger bass or chord buttons, so you could play a tune with accompaniment. The design originated in Germany in the early 1900s. Honor introduced the honorette around 1907 and secured a United States patent in July of 1908 for a mouth accordion. The company promoted it heavily. Catalogs stressed it was a real instrument, not a toy, and offered several models, ranging from basic 10-key versions to more elaborate chromatic and horned showpieces. I found these strange heavy metal balls while cleaning out the basement of the house I recently bought. They're completely made of metal. Does anyone know what these are? What you found are BLU-26 guava bomblets, spherical anti-personnel submunitions from the Vietnam War era. Each one is about the size of a tennis ball and was designed to fragment on detonation. Inside the thin metal shell, hundreds of tiny steel balls were embedded so that, when the small explosive charge went off, they were propelled outward in all directions. These bomblets were not dropped individually, but packed by the hundreds inside larger containers, such as the CBU-24 SADI. Once released from an aircraft, the dispenser opened in midair and scattered the spheres across a wide area. As each bomblet spun in free fall, the shallow exterior ridges acted as vanes to arm the fuse. This system turned a single bomb release into a grid of many small explosions, intended to strike enemy troops in the open or deny access to terrain. I found this on the street. It has a decorated tube, a length of pink thread running through it, and a small brass tool attached. What is this used for? What you've found is a traditional Vietnamese jaw harp known as a dan moi. This type of harp has been played for centuries throughout Asia and Europe, and in Vietnam, it's especially associated with ethnic groups like the Hmong. The brass reed is held gently against the lips, and when plucked, it vibrates through the player's mouth, which acts as a natural resonating chamber. By shaping the mouth and moving the tongue, the player can shift the overtones and create melodies from a single vibrating note. Traditionally, the dan moi was used for courtship, storytelling, or simply to pass the time in the hills of northern Vietnam. I found this strange object on the ground near our car. It's made of blue metal with a spring-loaded handle and two white plastic discs that press together. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a watch crystal press, a specialized tool used by watchmakers to install or remove the transparent cover from a wristwatch. This seemingly simple device is designed to apply perfectly even pressure, ensuring that a fragile crystal can be safely snapped into its bezel without cracking or misalignment. My friend sent me this photo, and I have no idea what this thing is. It looks like a car is stored inside a giant clear bubble. What you've found is an inflatable car bubble garage, officially known as a car capsule. It's a protective enclosure designed to completely seal off a vehicle inside a clear vinyl dome, keeping it safe from dust, humidity, pests, and minor impacts. Once zipped closed and plugged in, a small electric fan continuously inflates the bubble around the car, suspending it inside a soft, pressurized shell. The concept dates back to the early 1990s, when Rein Rendme patented the first modern portable protective enclosure for a vehicle in the United States. His design became the foundation for the car capsule, which soon entered commercial production under the company PDK Automotive. I've walked past this strange object floating on the Thames in southwest London for the past couple of weeks. It's tied to a floating dock and hasn't moved. It has a hatch and windows. Looks like you can climb inside. What you found is a fully enclosed ship lifeboat, a self-contained emergency vessel designed to protect passengers and crew in the event of an evacuation. These lifeboats are built to be unsinkable and fire-resistant. Inside, they're equipped with survival supplies, a compact engine, and secure seating with safety harnesses for everyone on board. Unlike the older open-style lifeboats, this capsule-shaped version is engineered for rapid deployment. It's designed to launch instantly by sliding down a steep ramp, hitting the water in seconds without the need for winches or cables. Once afloat, the boat's aerodynamic shape and weighted keel help it stabilize quickly, even in rough conditions. My father-in-law found this among some old tools, but we have no idea what it's for. It's made by Atlas Tool and Manufacturing Company from St. Louis, Missouri, and has this unusual red plastic cover and cast aluminum base. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a vintage church key can opener, a simple metal tool that was once essential for opening beer and soda cans before pull tabs were invented. First introduced in the 1930s with the arrival of flat-top beer cans, it worked by using leverage to punch a triangular hole into the lid. Most people would make two holes, one to pour from and one to let air in, using the pointed end of the tool. As for the name church key, no one knows for sure where it came from. Some say it started as a tongue-in-cheek joke after Prohibition. I found this 8-inch fancy bottle mixed in with a bunch of old tools. It's empty and made of purple glass. The design looks decorative, but the metal tip at the end seems like it might have been meant to fit into something. Does anyone know what this is? What you found is a traditional Moroccan perfume bottle, often called a rosewater sprinkler. These elegant glass flacons were used to hold scented liquids like rose or orange blossom water, and to gently sprinkle them onto guests as part of ceremonial hospitality. This particular style became especially popular in the early to mid-20th century, when Moroccan artisans began repurposing old European perfume bottles, often made in France, and decorating them with hand-applied silver-toned metal filigree. In the last video, I asked you to guess what this small, brass, extendable tube might be used for. Everyone had great guesses, and many of you got it right. This item is a Thompson Center adjustable black powder measure. Thank you to everyone who participated and shared your guesses. A special shout out to Boneyard for being the first to correctly identify it. All right, it's time for another mystery item. Take a look at this strange tool. What do you think it is used for? Leave your guesses in the comments, and I'll reveal the answer in the next video. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Your support motivates me to create more videos. See you next time.